Times women couldn't stop lying on paternity court.
Mr. Nelson, you say Mr. Patterson's the father. Miss Harden, you told Mr. Nelson he's the father, and Mr. Patterson he's the father.
No, I did not tell John.
That's not true, though. You are not father.
Oh.
Don't clown. Don't clown.
A serious medical condition has led to a paternity dispute that could shake things up. Miss Fisher has come forward claiming that Mr. Stewart is the biological father, and she's not backing down. With a DNA test, the truth will finally come to light. Judge Lawrence straightforwardly hopped up into the pregnancy part. It slipped out that the defendant is denying paternity from day one. But why?
I woke up one morning, I wasn't feeling well, and I've been pregnant before, so I pretty much knew before I took the test I was pregnant.
And you immediately said, Mr. Stewart, this is your
I
child.
showed it to him, and his first reaction, it ain't mine.
That's what he said. Woo, that is not the reaction you look for when you tell a man you're pregnant.
Even after the denial, how did their relationship continue? It was later revealed that he was dating her just because he was bored. Huh, that's slick. There was another guy in the picture, and he was Miss Fisher's first pick to father her child. The plaintiff even had some information to support his claim.
You stated that you knew for certain that Miss Fisher was sleeping with other men. What do you know, and how do you know it?
Well, she named another potential father as the biological father, and then another man signed the birth certificate.
She named another man as the biological father.
Yes, Mr. Kern.
Mr. Kern?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, this did seem a bit odd. What drags someone to court if you won't let them get listed as a father? Instead of telling a man to step up to the plate, calling him a deadbeat dad seems petty, doesn't it?
Dragging my name around the town and stuff, man, telling everybody that I'm just a deadbeat dad and stuff, man.
I ain't said nothing about you. You the one be walking around.
What you just out here
really
saying that I'm a deadbeat. I don't do nothing for her. I ain't got
nothing.
nothing. Man, come on, man.
So the other potential father was escorted to the courtroom. The suspect claimed that the plaintiff is a compulsive liar, and she's done things like this before. However, baby mama continued her game of imposing possibilities on men. But Judge Lauren was irked, and she articulated some facts like this.
Fisher, you told him it was his child.
No, that's not what I told him. I told him the same thing we're going through now, that it was a chance.
So wait a minute, this is your second child that you're having a paternity issue with?
Yes.
Miss Fisher. No.
Now you gotta say.
Don't y'all shake your head, because you in it too.
As the testimony proceeded, it was revealed that the baby has got some serious conditions, and it's critical to know about her father's medical history for treatment. How could they be irresponsible and dumb in a sexual relationship which can produce a baby? Nobody should play around when it comes to paternity.
I look at this beautiful little girl. I can't imagine having a brand new beautiful baby and then needing an answer from me that I can't give because I was irresponsible, and now her health may be affected because of that. That's not okay. And the reason why I'm going so hard on you all is because you're still up to it, and you admitted it in court today. You're still doing the same thing.
Yeah, valid point. No child deserves to suffer like this. Let's see if the baby girl is getting her full-time daddy or not.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Stewart, you are not the father.
Oh.
Don't clown. Don't you dare clown in here. There's something going on because you just giving your body away for free. You just making babies.
Is he or isn't he? The tension is palpable as Mr. Nelson's skeptical nature threatens to shatter their relationship. But today, the truth will finally be revealed as the DNA results come in. All eyes turn to the plaintiffs, eager to put an end to the uncertainty once and for all.
Ms. Harden, you have opened your case today in hopes of saving your relationship. You say, due to a misunderstanding, he is now denying your 2-month-old daughter, Sophia Nelson. He is the father, and once proven, you want his help raising your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the trial began on the note of the defendant being irresponsible and careless towards the child, and he admitted all the plaintiff's testimony like this.
Delonte doesn't help me with anything. He doesn't help me financially. He won't pick up a diaper. He walk past her like she Casper. When she cry, he be like, hey, get your daughter. Your daughter crying. Your daughter wants you. Get her, get her. He don't help me at all.
I don't see why I should have to do all of that if I'm not 100% sure I'm the father.
My baby looks just like you. You denying her, she looked just like you.
Pregnancy question was important to ask to proceed with the trial. Let's find out the side of the story of when the pregnancy news was revealed and how it raised so many questions. It was painful to watch a grown woman cry in mid-trial like that, due to the fact of being alone like this.
I didn't really have anybody. My mom died when I was 12. My dad's not in my life. My grandmother, she's not really there either.
Now I understand. We come here to tell the truth, and if that's your truth, you say it.
However, the defendant decided not to be easy on the baby mama, and even the baby girl's birth didn't melt down the ice shield of this ignorant man. And if you think that's too much, see what he did next intentionally.
We're on the way to the hospital. I called him multiple times and said, hey, make sure you grab your ID. You need your ID to sign her birth certificate. He left his ID at home on purpose, bought an empty wallet.
Well, on purpose.
On
Same
purpose.
thing.
You say that you didn't sign that birth certificate purposefully
Yes, Your
because you have doubt.
Yes, Your Honor.
There was another guy in the picture who could be the potential father. The plaintiff even had evidence to support their claim. After this, we got to know that the mommy was caught after sexual intercourse. Their equation was serious enough to raise doubt.
When we were going over that testimony, you were not vehemently denying anything.
Correct.
So you do admit that you were intimate with this couple.
Yes, I do.
You admit you were intimate with them when Mr. Nelson left the house.
No.
Nevertheless, Judge Lauren asked Miss Hardin's ex about the baby's paternity. He denied and even brought evidence to support his testimony. Above all, don't lie to yourself. Judge Lauren had enough of their lies and pinning excuses on each other in a circle. But the baby mama denied all the claims this way.
The husband, Mr. Patterson, said he's the father. Mr. Patterson, you say Mr. Nelson is the father. Mr. Nelson, you say Mr. Patterson is the father. Miss Hardin, you told Mr. Nelson he's the father and Mr. Patterson he's the father.
No, I did not tell John he was the father of my child.
That's not true.
Well, Judge Lauren articulated some schooling for all of them because they thought of producing a baby as the fun part only. Let's see if that DNA envelope has something good for her or not.
It's been determined by this court. Biological father is Mr. Nelson. You are the biological father.
Mr. Morris is in paternity court to claim the paternity of his 29-year-old daughter. But the woman standing across the aisle is not ready to believe the plaintiff, as she believes that her mother has lied enough to her, and only DNA proof can put an end to the situation.
Mr. Morris, you say you are 100% certain that you are the biological father of the 29-year-old woman standing across the aisle and want this court to put an end to years of confusion, lies, and doubt. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the trial begins with Mr. Morris telling his story about how he met the woman of his dreams at a dance party, and they were together for 2 years. And even after they had broken up, the defendant came back for his daughter, but the mommy pushed him away like this.
When I talked to her, the 2 days I was in town, she told me to my face that none of her children were mine, so I left.
So how old was Miss Brister at this time?
I would say she had to be maybe 5 or 6.
So, Miss Smith, you remember telling him that Miss Brister was not his child?
Yes.
Seeing things like these can easily stir up paternity doubt. But in the mommy's defense, she didn't want to get back with her ex. She further had Miss Brister believe that the guy on her birth certificate was her father.
You brought an exhibit for the court, please.
I was about 16. Mr. Morris, he came to visit. He introduced himself as my dad. I don't remember the conversation that we had, but I do remember saying that he was my dad. For maybe like a week or so, then he left.
So he comes into town, he says, I'm your father. He stays a week, and then he leaves.
All these sudden revelations were causing turmoil in the defendant's life. It was hurtful and confusing. And when the judge asked Miss Smith why she had lined up so many stories, she confessed that she was doing so to protect her daughter from her father's lifestyle.
This started when you were how old?
This started when I was, I think around like 8, 9, maybe 10, when I was told, when I remember.
When you remember
Her saying that the man on my birth certificate wasn't my father.
You've maintained that you thought you were her biological father all along. She's got 4 stories she just presented to the court.
See, I never knew anything about those.
But when the judge asked Mr. Morris about this, he told the court that he had no idea about any of the stories going around. Further, he informed the court that he was charged with the defendant's child support. However, Miss Brister seemed unconcerned about all of it.
But if you've known that I was your daughter, it's kind of like, why didn't you reach out?
I was
Nobody
under
said
so much.
anything in all these years. So now that I'm about to be 30, and here it is, you saying you're 100% sure, but you haven't been a part of my life at all.
By now, it seemed like the trio was stuck on a roller coaster of fate, and all these years had gone by without the truth being revealed. So, I guess that's about the right time to set the record straight.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Morris, you are not her father. I'm very sorry.
Can I hug my daughter?
Absolutely, is that okay? Are you okay?
I am.
Miss Carr's games dragged Mr. Johnson to the paternity court. Mr. Johnson said that he's tired of 18-year-old doubts and he wants to find the truth once and for all. But the defendant stated that the plaintiff has been dodging the DNA test since the day he was informed. Let's move to the plaintiffs.
That Mr. Johnson has been dodging a DNA test and his responsibilities as a father since the day you told him you were pregnant. You claim the only reason he is denying her is because you are married and will no longer sleep with him. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So the judge started with their relationship recap. It was revealed that they were not even in a relationship. Then how could they end up producing a baby? And why did she shove "you are the father" in the plaintiff's face?
My uncle married her auntie. They adopted her. I used to go over their house and help him out, like cutting grass and things of that nature, and I would stay the night, and they would allow us to sleep in the same room. We had sex one time.
We had sex on multiple times.
And
More
at
than
some
one
point
time.
you realized you pregnant.
Yes, ma'am. At the time I was young, I was just coming on my menstrual.
However, from the mother's testimony, it was revealed that she informed the alleged father about the baby, but he dumped her because there was another guy in the picture who was proven to be the father.
I had a boyfriend at the time, and
So
Mr.
they
Johnson
thought
was aware
the
of my boyfriend.
Was the father
The
of
whole
the
time.
child.
He-
All
Her
right.
dad came to my house and told me they got a DNA test with somebody else. So I moved on with my life. What else am I supposed to do after the head of your household comes
No,
to
ma'am,
me
that's-
and tell me
that's not true.
that, you know what I'm saying, y'all got a DNA
That's
with
not-
Nonetheless, the plaintiff came across Miss May after many years. He told the court that he bumped into the baby and she called him daddy. But Miss Carr acted cold even in this emotional moment.
Seen the daughter in a grocery store. She runs up to me like, "Daddy,
How old is she?
She's about 5 or 6 at this time. I want to say I'm not your daddy, but I can't tell this little girl this. You know what I'm saying? I'm confused as to why she's calling me daddy. So I'm asking for a DNA test. Like, no, you can't just say that she's my daughter without me getting a DNA test.
Even after no DNA test and strong doubt, Mr. Johnson claimed to step up to the plate. But if he was there for the baby girl, then why didn't he have a father-daughter relationship with her at this age? He explained himself like this.
I'm full-blown father now. Birthday parties, clothes, school clothes. Your Honor, I donated plasma to have Miss May a Hannah Montana birthday party. Got a phone call about a year or two later requesting the DNA test. Get a DNA test now, why not when I asked?
Why after all that time he's doing birthdays?
He's not communicating with me, and I always find out about things after the fact.
So to get an idea of what had happened all these years, the judge called in Miss May. She told the court that she'd seen her alleged biological father years ago, even though Mr. Johnson got emotional at his daughter's testimony.
Ms. May, what was your understanding as it related to your paternity?
I was told by family members that he was my father, and they would show me pictures of him, and they was like, "Oh, you look just like him." And so I was like, okay, that's my dad. My mother had told me that he was a part of my life, and so I don't have that many memories with him. Like, there was this time I called him on the phone.
However, both sides continued to put the allegations on each other, and all of the negation and neglect around the paternity issue confused Judge Lake, so she had to say this.
To me, how much you all were doing. You did everything but get a DNA test. I mean, everything. And now, Amber is the one who's hurting,
At the end of the day.
thinking you're her biological father, and you only showed up for a birthday party. And Amber, what was that like?
The man I call my father, Mr. Carr over there.
Either way, both sides and the judge were hoping the plaintiff was the father, as if not, it'll damage the young girl for her whole life. Let's see if fate will have mercy on them or not. Now, it's time for that result.
When it comes to Amber May, It has been determined by this court, Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Okay.
We came here for a beautiful young woman who deserves to know who her biological father is.